When you speak negatively about a person where it has no constructive value, whether you say it in his presence or you say it behind his back, not in his presence, you're a violation. If you're not permitted to say it, it's irrelevant where you say it or when you say it. Let's say you share information that ultimately could cause a person some harm. Okay? You share with someone has a certain representation. And there's no such thing as keeping secrets. You share any information, it passes on. And if word gets out, this person could actually suffer physical harm or even financial. Obemono, afilo hotzelo, olafrido, to cause him any level of pain or cause him any level of fright. Raise the Lashon Hara. I'll give you an example. Thieves. Whose house do they burglarize? Not a man who has nothing in his house. Person from the outside looks like an ordinary house. A person shares with people. This person will know the house looks ordinary. He lives like a wealthy man behind those closed doors. And word goes out. You share it with a person is not a thief. But if word starts circulating in the community that this person is of a certain financial status, he could be victimized by those people who are actually dishonest, who are thieves, who are criminals. You have no right to say that. A number of months ago, I was in Florida and a certain area, and I meet this couple. They flew in from Toronto. So I said to them, what are you doing here? So he said, their daughter and their son-in-law was spending on vacation 2 weeks in Florida in a certain area. And their son-in-law was held up with a gun. And they were so traumatized that they flew down to be with them just to relieve them of this trauma that he experienced. So I said, why was he held up? You're talking about it's a good neighborhood. He says, because there's a ring that when you go to a certain restaurant, evidently one of the waitresses, when she sees someone wearing a Rolex watch, she calls certain people and and she said, they just left the restaurant. He identifies the location, listen, and they come immediately on a motorcycle, 2 of them, and they identify the people. That's how the holdup took place. And he was held up with a pistol. Either you watch or, you won't live to wear the watch. And he gave the watch. And it wasn't the money. But the trauma, you understand? So the word went out. They didn't know who this person who makes this contact. Anything of value, don't wear out outwardly. Because there are these people in the neighborhood, when they notice it, they immediately make a call. And they have these thieves, they come immediately on a motorcycle within minutes. And then they were off. And they come in a way that you can't say no. If you're smart. So if you have people who eavesdrop, they listen to conversations. You have sometimes people in the elevators. They talk about certain things in the office. And maybe inside information. You never know what it is. You never know that information can be used to the detriment of someone else. You never know. So if you say things which ultimately, to the person who hears it, not, but if that person passes it on, it could cause the person financial harm, physical harm, aggravation, whatever it is, you're not permitted to say it. Now, we speak about confidentiality. If I share something with you, and I don't even say it's confidential, do you have a right to share it with someone else? You have no right to share it with someone else. I say to you, by the way, I just applied for a new job. Okay. And then you share with someone else. By the way, did you hear so-and-so is applied for a job in this firm? Halachically, you're not permitted to share that. Why? Even though he didn't say it in confidence, but that kind of information, you don't pass on unless you have permission to pass it on. Okay? What about if the person would say it in the presence of 3 other people? If you say it in presence, that means you said it in a public setting. If you said a public setting, even though you didn't say you could pass it on, you're permitted to pass it on. Because it's understood, if you said it publicly, it's okay. Because anything said publicly, word passes. Then the halach is, I don't have to consult with you. Am I permitted to pass it on? So I once had a story. Certain person, today this man's in his mid-80s. One time he's a real estate mogul. And he used to come every day to Yad Avram. And at the breakfast table, they used to speak. At breakfast, they could have 20 people. And he said something at the table. I was there, many people, present 20 people, about something. I don't remember what it was. And I shared it with someone. Because based on the halacha, which we're discussing now, anything that's said in a public setting is not classified as confidential. And then afterwards, somebody heard it. I shared, that person calls him up. He says, I hear this and that. He says, where did you hear it from? He says, I heard it from Rabbi Kalatsky. I get a call from this person. He says, why did you share it with him? Don't you realize it's confidential? I said, according to laws of confidentiality, anything you say in a public setting, automatically, unless you say in confidence, it's not confidential. That's why I was permitted to say it. If you would have said in the presence of those 20, whatever I'm saying now is in confidence, then you're not permitted to pass it on. But you didn't say that. If that's the case, I felt, and it wasn't, I was just gossiping. It wasn't gossiping. I told the person for a reason. The person was happy. He called him up and he says, I'm happy I heard this. But again, anything that said, even a setting of 3 people, 3 is public. You know, he used to say, 2 is company, 3 is a crowd. That's it. That's called public.